Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Close. It is Friday, November 1st, first day of November, 3:46 p.m. We are back on The Market Close. Friday is here. This week was kind of fast, kind of slow. On one part, it feels like, I can't believe it's Friday. On another part, it's like, wow, it is taking a while to get to the end of the week, but we are officially here. Last day of October was yesterday. Market ended green for the month of October, which was obviously very good. However, it was one of the worst days we've had since September 6th, down about 2%. And you know what's funny? Someone made a point today that I thought was really interesting. The non-farm payroll reports came out this morning. Market wanted 113,000 jobs. We added 12,000. Massive disconnect. Market kind of didn't care because they figured that the Boeing strike, along with the two different hurricanes we had, contributed to the discrepancy in the job report. What was interesting is yesterday, market fell 2%. Worst day again since early September. And it's funny because it's like the market knows everything, right? So maybe the market knew that the jobs report was not going to be that good this morning. And as a result of the jobs report not being that good today, on Thursday, the day before, they end up tanking the market. So kind of feels like that's what happened. And that was the story of this morning. On top of that, nothing too crazy happening today other than that jobs report, but also Amazon trying to break through 200, touched it 3-4 times, really couldn't get through. We're at 198.09. I think there's now about 105,000 shares waiting at 200 again. Originally in the morning, there were about 900,000 shares that was eaten up, but really could not hold above 200. I mean, I think it hovered above 200 for like 30 seconds and then kind of just went back down. But 6% day on Amazon, which is not bad at all, which is very nice. Robinhood, I did buy 200 shares today of Robinhood at $23.54. So I bought the dip at $23.50. We're at 24 right now. I like it. I don't fully trust it yet. I do think we can hover back into the 22s. We were very close this morning. This morning was also really weird because SoFi, Hood, and PayPal all took a 3 to 4% hit at the same time, which I don't know. Didn't make too much sense in the morning. SoFi now still down 1.32%, but holding above 11, which is very good. PayPal kind of couldn't get too much love. PayPal was down, I think, 3.4% at one point. Now it's down 2.4%. Hood is the one that kind of went back into the green, hopefully closing above 24, which would be good for the day. Obviously, tough week for Robinhood, but I do think at these levels it is pretty undervalued. And so now we gotta get through the election and also get through next week's rate cutting cycle and CPI report to go further throughout the entire market. So not too crazy of a day, but we got to close out the market. I did confirm Steve will be here at 4:05-ish, 4:10. And so we'll be able to call in and get his thoughts on what's going on. But overall, it seems like today was a very not crazy or interesting day, just a regular Friday in the markets. And it looks like it's going to end out relatively green. Cool. So that's what we got going on in the current state of just what we're looking at when it comes to stocks. I want to start off with what's going on with the Mag 7. So I took a look at all the Mag 7 earnings outside of NVIDIA because NVIDIA hasn't happened yet. And from my perspective, it looks like Mag 7, when you look at all their numbers, kind of crushed it. Alex says, Monday, do we get a huge crash? Monday we have Palantir. We'll have Palantir Weekly tonight, and we will be discussing earnings expectations. I don't hope there's a huge crash. I can imagine people get scared and they definitely sell off some stocks, which is why today's green that we're seeing in some of these areas, I kind of don't trust it because on Monday, we're really going to see how people feel before the election. But if you look at big tech earnings in general, I think it's safe to say that big tech demolished earnings, all 6 of them outside of NVIDIA. So Meta had their highest net income ever and did $40 billion of revenue. Google's growing 35% on cloud. Amazon highest operating margins. AWS is a monster. Tesla's growing vehicles 20% next year. Operating margins of 300 basis points. Microsoft Cloud is good. And then Apple was probably the worst out of all of them, but still $95 billion of revenue is nothing to scoff at, with the iPhone doing about $45 billion of that revenue. I think 46.2 versus 45 is what the street expected. And we know NVIDIA is going to crush with Blackwell. So a labor market is strong but weakening. Inflation that is coming down. We'll see CPI next week. And the largest companies in the world are smashing earnings, which means the last question that all of us have to figure out is who the hell is winning this election? And whoever wins the election, how's the market going to react to whoever wins the election? I think that's the final question. We know based on the CME Watch tool now that a rate cut based on this jobs report is very likely. I mean, there was a 4% chance that we wouldn't get a rate cut based on the job numbers we had a couple days ago. And now it looks like, actually, based on the weakness we're seeing in the labor market, even if it's caused by the hurricanes, the question is now 25 or 50 versus 25 or nothing. And so if we think we're going to get a rate cut, and likely 2 rate cuts to end out the year, along with companies that are beating on earnings. What's the bear case? Well, to find out the bear case, we have to go to a guy who has been talking about the bear case for a while, who published something today that he says we should not read if we don't want to see the bearishness in the market, which is our good friend Mr. Meet Kevin. So this is what Meet Kevin published today. And I think it's worth sharing just to kind of look at what is the bear case, or what the bears think could be the most unpopular way for the market to go down. And so here's what he says is the bad thing about the markets. Inflation is plummeting faster than markets expect, which is good. February, March, however, will be hell. Seasonal jobs will be gone. Working at Target or Amazon before the holidays. The last of consumer savings will have been spent for one more good holiday. So he says no one's going to have money starting the new year. Job revisions for Q4 will be devastating. He says all the jobs reports right now are fake. Productivity gains will be gone for EPS boost. The only choice left will be layoffs, meaning that the 2025 earnings cycle to beat 2024 earnings, because their comps are going to be so high, you're going to have to lay off people, which will decrease costs, which will increase EPS, but that will cause problems in the economy. People get laid off. That's his kind of bear case from an EPS earnings perspective. Deflation will lead to further job loss. That's the whole AI is going to take away your jobs. Bitcoin risks being the order book of FOMO presently, which makes it dangerously positioned for massive downside in a recession. Basically saying the Bitcoin gains are meaningless right now, and anyone investing in Bitcoin is just like throwing their money away. AI growth will disappoint as LLM progress levels off, meaning AI is a bubble. Treasury bonds will likely yield significantly more than the S&P, QQQ, and in 2025, meaning he's basically saying the market's not going to get even close to 5% in terms of returns going into 2025. And if they do, then bonds will still yield higher than the market. Valuation corrections will create major opportunities for those who are hedged or in cash. Gold has peaked. Treasuries have bottomed. Stocks have topped. Good luck. That is from our good friend, Mr. Meet Kevin. Look, I think Kevin's had this thesis for like the past 5 months now, and it's not just Kevin. A lot of the bears have had this thesis. They've been wrong really for the whole year, definitely over the past couple of months. The nature of being a bear is that you have to constantly be bearish, and eventually, you will be right. It's kind of like the boy who cried wolf, and there will be a certain situation where maybe the boy who cried wolf will actually see a wolf. I don't know if this is the world that in 2025 going into it, where there's actually going to be a wolf. I do think 2025 is not going to be as good as 2024. I think it doesn't take a genius to figure that out. However, the idea that all of those things that he's talking about are going to happen at once, there's a chance it happens at a fundamental level. The way any of those things happen is if people lose their jobs and we have a recession. And so far, that's not happening. I don't think that's necessarily going to happen at the levels that Kevin thinks it's going to happen. I don't really know his justification for why it's going to happen. Like, if you notice, a lot of those bullet points are assertions. They're not actually like reasons for why things are going to go the way they go. It's just like, hey, this is going to happen. You either believe it or you don't. As of now, I don't really believe it because I don't see the data to justify it. But maybe, we see different data going into 2025. As of now, that's not really the case. So yeah, those are my thoughts on what is happening. Francisco says he is trying to be right, trying hard. Let me say, I think one of the most happiest people over the past week is Meet Kevin, because you had a little bit of market volatility, but it's like the bears are coming out and they're like, oh, things are bad. It's like, dude, the S&P's at close to all-time highs. The S&P's down 2% this week after a very strong 2 months. It's like honestly, I mean, even I think TJ said it today, Robinhood had to take a little bit of a fall because it was up a lot. It was up like 50% going into, it's like it needed a little bit of a break, and that's fair. Same thing happened with Nvidia in August. Same thing happened with Tesla a couple weeks ago before they had their earnings. It's like things consolidate. They don't go up all the time. And it's okay for that to happen. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing right now in October, at least in the broader markets. So yeah, I don't think there's a lot of warrants there. I think there's just a lot of assertions. Okay, so what else do we have going on? Amazon again, we got the market close in about 4 minutes. Let me actually present the bull and the bear case as well. We have Greg Branch on CNBC. Greg, for those that don't know, has been bearish as well for the far majority of the year. Here's his perspective on why he continues to be, if not bearish, at least the thing that happens now. If you miss the whole rally and you're not buying the market, you've got to justify to your clients why you won't buy the market. And the easiest thing to say is like, well, now things are up so much, now we have to wait. The question then just becomes, are you waiting forever? And that's the hard part with constantly saying that the market's going to crash.
Stephanie Link of Hightower Advisors, Greg Branch of Branch Global Capital Advisors, and Ayako Yoshioka of Wells.
No matter what the outcome is with one candidate on another level down, when you transition from candidate to elected official, we get to weed out some of the rhetoric and noise that was never going to make it into policy anyway. So I think that that's a de-risking event as well. And then thirdly, both of these candidates have been in office before. So we know what sectors and industries they've been supportive of and where we might see a very particular and specific tailwind.
So you've been willing to stay neutral, I think, for a while, right? In the slow lane, so to speak.
Right.
All this traffic's been passing you in the left lane.
It has.
And why have you refused to hit the pedal and join the rush? Because you've missed out, obviously, on a good amount of this rally, this bull market.
I think my answer is typified by some of the market activity we've seen over the last months. And that is the data's still kind of mixed, Scott. So earnings growth for 5 straight quarters is great. However, this quarter is at 3.6% as opposed to last quarter's 13%. That bears some watching. On the inflation front, obviously we continue to experience disinflation, and it remains a topic that most don't want to talk about. However, the core number has shot back into the 30 basis points range for month-over-month core growth for the last two months now. So wherever I look, there's data that makes me optimistic, but still things that give me pause for thought. And I think I'll become more bullish when I find multiples and consensus expectations leaving room for outperformance. And I just don't see that right now.
Steph, what do you make of that?
Well, I think we should applaud 2.8% GDP growth because that's above trend, well above trend.
I agree with Steph. I think she's right.
The labor market, it's softening, but it's still on balance for the most part. If I look at ADP and initial jobless claims, if I look at the 3-month moving average for non-farm payrolls, you're at 140 versus 258 a year ago. So I understand that we are certainly slowing there. And that's the reason why we have a Fed that is embarking on a Fed cut cycle. We have lower inflation at an employment cost index of 0.8 this week, which was less than expected, a PCE at 2.1, and consumption, the consumer is hanging in there. To everyone's surprise, look at final sales to domestic purchases up 3.2%. That is a very healthy number. And of course, you have this manufacturing renaissance, and all you need to do is point to Eaton, Quanta Services, GE Vernova as examples of this renaissance, anything tied to the grid and power and electrification. And that, of course, is tied to AI. So
Stephanie right there is bringing up a ton of different bull arguments because I think Greg's big argument is how's the market going to outperform? And she's like, well, there's all these other sectors that now we're going to see this market rally hopefully broaden. And as it does broaden, you have different elements to the market like energy that could outperform as well. So look, I think Greg's argument has some validity in terms of different points he's trying to find. I just think now he's trying to cherry pick into like the worst arguments he can come up with to make an argument for why there's not going to be outperformance. And that might not be the best argument going into next year. 4 p.m. Friday, November 1st, the stock market is now closed. All right, folks, markets are closed and we are officially done with October. We are now into the November trading month. 571 on the S&P, 571.4. S&P for the week. Let me just pull up. I think we are slightly red for the week, but let me officially confirm. Over the past 5 days, we're down 2%. Over the past month, we are up 0.5%. Past 6 months, up 14%. Year to date, S&P is up 21%, which is an incredible day. Or incredible year for the S&P 500 so far. Robinhood ends out the day 23.97, right below 24. SoFi ends actually above 11. That's actually a really good strength because there was a lot of options expiring today. So the fact that there was enough buyers to keep it above 11 is actually incredible for SoFi. Amazon, of course, ends the day below 200, 197.93. Still an incredible day, up about 6%. For Amazon. Amazon is now officially a $2 trillion company. It was hovering between 1.87 and 1.9 for the past couple months now above 2.08 trillion. Rocket Lab, 1142. Great day for Rocket Lab, up about 7%. Enovix, up 1/3%. Microsoft, up about 1%. Reddit, down 5%, but it was up 40% this week. So You would imagine people take some profits. Twilio was up 5% today after being up 15% 2 days ago. That's great. Eli Lilly down 1%. They had a tough earnings this week. They were down in the 750s at one point, now at 818. Snapchat actually had a great day, up about 3%. BitX was down about 2%. Where's Bitcoin? Look at Bitcoin right below 70,000, 69,234. It was at 7164. Now it's at 69. Let's take a look at MicroStrategy. I think that's down at least 4%. MicroStrategy is down 6% at 229. And then you got Coinbase that was actually up today, 2% on the day. Ending out with the Mag 7, let's take a look at that. We have Apple that is down 1%, Microsoft up 1%, Meta flat on the day, Google up, Amazon that was up 6%, Nvidia was up 1.97%, even though SMCI was down, and then Tesla right below 250 at 248. So Tesla giving away a lot of the gains. It got to 265, now back at 248, still better than 213 where it was right before earnings. And SMCI down, wow, another 10% on the day. I didn't look at SMCI all day, so it was down 10% today, 33% the other day, so basically down about 45% for the week for SMCI. And then you got the Qs as well, right here, up about 0.74, and the S&P up about 0.42. All right, folks, it's time to bring on someone on the show who hasn't been on in 3 weeks, partly because I've been in India for the past 2 weeks and he couldn't make it last week. We have the pleasure of actually seeing his beautiful face instead of just hearing his beautiful voice. And we've got a lot of earnings to discuss with him over the next hour in the world of big tech. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Stephen Fiorillo. Hello, sir.
What's up?
How are you?
You know, all things considered, pretty freaking good.
Who says that? All things considered, pretty freaking good. I like that. I like that. It's a good way to preview what you're going to say. We've got a lot to talk about, Steve. We got a lot to discuss.
We do have a lot to discuss.
We have a pretty crazy market. First, before we get into it, just how's the past couple of weeks been for you personally? And then we'll get into everything.
Yeah, roller coaster, all good. But
Yeah,
did you know that there's 5 companies that when you put them together over Q3, they generated on average $149 billion in revenue?
You're talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana,
No, who cares about
with
those?
Hat.
No,
You're talking about those? Those are the 5?
No, we don't care about that.
So you're talking, I think, about the Mag 7.
I'm talking about big tech out of the Mag 7.
Okay, so let's get into that. Before we get into the one by ones, all of them reported. What is your raw reaction to all of big tech's earnings this week?
Look, I want Meta to keep going down. I think people are crazy. I would love to buy more.
Okay.
And that's coming from somebody that probably has a average cost basis of like 60
on Meta,
something like that. Maybe
okay,
70,
so in aggregate, I think the big concern going to Q3 was how is big tech actually going to, keep putting up numbers off these huge bases that they're already on. What is your reaction to the fact that pretty much all of them have compounded at close to 20%, which is just incredible?
I think people are really underestimating what's going to happen over the next 3 to 5 years. This isn't about next quarter or the next 6 months or the next year. I think people are looking at these CapEx numbers. They still don't believe it. And I think people are going to be shocked what happens in 2026 and 2027. You're already seeing it. Look at Meta. Meta was an absolute blowout. They beat EPS by 74 cents, and their year-over-year growth in Q3 is 18.9%. I mean, this was a blowout. Anybody who is still arguing or still bearish on Meta spending money on CapEx in 2025 is absolutely insane. Not a reason to sell off the stock, in my opinion.
Right. Okay, so let's go by them one by one. Google, cloud 35%. You had search business that was not dying because of Perplexity. What were your thoughts on
that? Oh, really?
I mean, well, that's what the numbers show, that they're not.
Everybody told me ChatGPT is going to cannibalize it. Everybody told me search is dead. Everybody told me this. Everybody told me that. Got news for everybody. You're wrong.
To be fair, there is a lot of market share that can be taken away. It's not like that risk is gone.
Keyword, can be.
Yeah, other keyword, future looking, aka the market. So there is an argument.
Keyword can be. Has not happened yet. And ChatGPT is nothing new at this point, and Alphabet still continues to find a way to put up ridiculous numbers.
What did you think about the cloud business growing 35%? Because that, I think, was the big shock. No one expected that.
I think that a lot of people don't look into how many businesses are still on-prem with servers.
Future looking is 2 words. That's correct, Alex. Yeah. You're right about that, Alex. Yeah, I think there's a lot of workloads that still need to go to the cloud versus being on-prem. I
And
heard
remember
from
something. Just because you go to the cloud doesn't mean that you stay with that initial capacity.
correct.
That's something that a lot of people that aren't in IT don't really look at. We've increased our cloud infrastructure by quite a bit since we made the move to the cloud.
So I heard from an unidentified source that I will not name that Google is giving a lot of startups a lot of juicy deals to leave AWS and Azure and come to GCP. That's a good
Yeah,
thing.
I've heard that.
Yeah, okay, you've heard that as well. So that might be one of their arguments, which is like, hey, let's give you a lot of free credits, but at the end of the day, we wrap you into the ecosystem, and
Yeah,
Amazon.
I
might
mean,
just can't
I've never
afford it.
used Google Cloud services from a business aspect. I can't speak to it, but the numbers are the numbers. So how
Okay.
they get there, it makes sense to give people sweet deals because once you switch, it's not so easy to switch back.
Okay, and quickly on search, and then we'll move on to Meta. You still personally feel there is no threat to the search business?
I mean, look, I could be overlooking it and I could be biased to a degree.
No. Now don't retract and
No,
don't
I
like.
never said
don't
I
have-
wasn't.
Don't
I'm not
don't
retracting.
be
Hold
all
on, don't cut
cocky
me
and
off.
confident, and then you're like, well,
Don't-
I could be wrong. Don't hedge your bets.
Don't cut me off. Look, I could be biased because of how good Google continues to do, but there's nothing that makes me think that they can't continue to do this. You can't paint a scenario where even if it goes from search to a ChatGPT model, that they're not going to figure out a way to get ad revenue out of Gemini. So
But my
I
point
really
is,
like Google here.
you're fine owning it over the next 5 years with no fear that Perplexity is going to take away a little market share of ChatGPT.
Yeah, I'm good. I have no intention of selling.
Okay, Gemini 2 billion MAUs. That's also a big deal to you, I would imagine, as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to continue to grow. Look, we are in the infancy stages of it. And here's the thing. I wouldn't want to compete with a company that has the cash pile that Alphabet has or the reach that Alphabet has. The only thing that is a real negative that could get me to change my opinion is if a certain administration is in power and a certain person is still the head of the FTC and a certain entity decides they want to break them up for real and they splinter it. Because from a business aspect, that wouldn't be good, but that would diminish the US on a technological scale in advancements in AI, and that would be horrible on a competitive front against global nations. So I really forget the business aspect. I just don't want that to happen, period, because everything at that company is intertwined, and it would really be a huge setback on the AI front with Alphabet. But I don't think they're going to get broken up. They could, but I don't think it's going to happen. That would be the one thing that would get me to potentially look at this differently.
Okay, let me show you one bearish tweet I saw today about Google. I just want to read it out, and I want to get your raw reaction and also for the chat as well. Imagine being Sundar Pichai right now. You have the largest continually updated data set of any company to train AI on, which is the Google Index. You invented the underlying technology of LLMs, which are called transformers, in 2017. You had complete search dominance. All you had to do was add AI, and you'd own the market. And yet, you'd managed to completely fumble your massive head start. You made your API so hard to use that nobody seriously integrated into their apps. You now see your search dominance quickly slipping away to Perplexity and yesterday's launch, ChatGPT Search. This will be a business case studied in universities for decades. My question to you is, will this actually be a business failure studied in universities for decades?
I mean, those are all opinions at the moment. If those things actually happen is a different story.
Well, I think the first part is definitely not an opinion that they let ChatGPT get 250 million weekly users when they made the technology for ChatGPT. Like that's fair.
These
Right.
are opinions.
I think
And
that's a fact.
these
You
are
may think it's an opinion,
opinions.
but this fact does not care about your opinion. But I get your point, right? Which is like ChatGPT hasn't beat Google yet, but they definitely gave them a chance, which is what I think the person's argument is.
I mean, Intel gave all these other companies a chance at chips, yet Intel's still here.
That's true. That is fair. All right.
I mean, think about how many chip companies there are now.
No, I agree. Well, look, Google, I still think it's undervalued here. Obviously, deeply undervalued at 22 times earnings. But now it's going to be a question of this DOJ.
Look, to think
Also
that a
well.
company that has their amount of cash on the balance sheet with basically no debt and this level of free cash flow, they didn't get there by being stupid.
Yeah, that's fair. That
And
is
let's
fair.
not forget, they still own Google Cloud. They still own YouTube. Search is still, depending on how you look at things, the number one or number two place you advertise. So, I'm not too worried.
Okay, Meta. What price should Meta be right now?
I mean, I think this is absolutely insane. If you had to put a gun to my head, I would have said this would have been 650 after earnings.
Wow. Okay. Why?
You read the quarter. You listened to the conference call. You don't think this is going to keep growing?
I think it will.
Man, look at the forward numbers. This is still a business that has a lot of growth in it. This is still a business that's trading around 20 times 2026 earnings. I mean, this is whoever came up with this, I love these diagrams. They're freaking great to explain stuff. But to think that they generated over $5 billion a month in pure profit, I mean, once again, who's their competition at this point?
Yeah, and the thing is, they don't have the search risk. Like, unless people stop using Instagram and Facebook, which
Not happening.
it's just not happening. I mean, I'm not using it, but a lot of other people are, right?
It's not happening. They haven't even really begun to monetize WhatsApp either.
Yeah, I think that's the dark horse, dude. Like, whenever I think about Meta, I think about their organic growth, but WhatsApp still is under monetized.
Think about when they actually start really thinking about how to monetize that. And let's not forget, you and I have had a difference of opinion on this, and I hope you're going to come around to it at some point. But I really do think over the next couple of years, and I may be wrong with the whole Apple thing on this, but I think my premise is going to be intact, where looking at a screen is not going to be forever. I really do think we're going to have sunglasses or some type of Ray-Ban glasses that's augmented reality. And Zuckerberg wants nothing more than to be the hardware maker of this. He hates giving Apple and Alphabet 30%. He doesn't want to give them anything. He wants to own the ecosystem. And there's no way that we just stay on a screen. I mean, we went since the 80s from a crappy little monitor. And when I mean crappy, I mean those initial computers had such small monitors. And you think about the first laptops, they had such small monitors, to a cell phone that's better than the computers that they put a man on the moon with in the 60s. We're not stopping here.
I agree. I still am, and I think Meta will beat Apple because Apple doesn't know what
They
hell they're doing.
very well may.
I just think it's pretty fucking goofy looking to wear these glasses all day and try to interact with the world. I don't even think you're going to do it. I think you'll invest in it, but you're
No,
not actually gonna use
but
it.
right now it's going to look like that. But when and I've always said, if it stays as goggles, it's not going to work. It's got to be a comfortable, regular sunglass style. When you get to that point, you're telling me you wouldn't sit on your couch with glasses to watch TV?
No,
in
no.
200
There's no way
whatever
in
you
hell
want?
I would. No, dude, I don't believe in that.
But you're wearing glasses right now on your face.
Yeah,
I'm wearing glasses.
The level of technology to make these glasses the next coming of the AI revolution and just be normal glasses on my face, I don't think we're
5
seeing
years.
that for a while.
5 years.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more than 5 years.
5
The
years.
batteries alone will take 5 years to hopefully.
I didn't say that's not going to be plugged in.
If it's plugged in, it's not going to be convenient, Steve. Like there's no sort of major bull case around the timeline. Maybe in 15 years, they'll come up with something where
5 years.
you think in 5 years, everyone's wearing glasses, walking around, just like looking at the sky with AR and doing stuff.
No, I'm not saying walking around. I'm saying for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, no. If I have a TV, I'm not putting on my glasses. Like that's not controversial, right?
Okay.
Like,
So I have an 85 in the next room, and I've considered going to 97. Okay.
correct.
If you have glasses that I can sit on the couch and it gives me a 200-inch screen, I'm 100% using that instead of a TV on the wall.
How would glasses give you a 200-inch screen?
So I know you've used Vitaly's headset for the MetaQuest.
Yeah.
Okay. Eventually, you will have glasses for full entertainment, and it'll be out in front of your face like a movie theater.
Okay. I don't really see that vision as aggressively as you.
We'll see. I think it's a couple of years down the road.
I think it's more than a couple of years.
I think 5 years we're going to have a very big entertainment shift, and video games, movies, and TV are going to be much different.
Well, if that's the case, that would make you bearish Google then, right?
No, why?
Because I'm not going to be searching on Google in my glasses. Right.
You're not going to be searching Google on your glasses.
Yeah, like you think there's going to be some holographic screen where I search something on like as I'm looking, like, right? Like
maybe.
I think the world is conditioned on these phones in a pretty sophisticated way. I know Zucks wants to get out of Apple's grapple hold, and I think eventually he will. But to create a consumer product that billions of people would use to create the unit economics to get off of the iPhone, I don't see it. I don't see it yet.
We need to have a couple of iterations of it, and we'll see. The bottom line at this point is anything is possible, and these companies are paving the way for the future. If you just look at how technology has advanced, it's not far-fetched to think that we are going to have advancements in the technology that we're using, and it's going to be drastically different in the future. Maybe I'm a little bullish and getting ahead of myself on the time frame, but eventually it's going to get there.
Well, look, most people agree with you. Most people in the chat disagree with me, and they agree with you. So, more people are on your side that glasses will take over. I guess it's just going to be a question if it takes.
No, I'm not saying you're not going to have a cell phone. I'm just saying that I do think from an entertainment aspect, you're going to see entertainment shift because you're going to have people who, look, I was devastated when the Yankees lost the other night, but
that did happen. Yeah,
I would have 100% paid for VR tickets to be in the stadium because I had no interest in going physically to the stadium.
Are you a Yankees fan?
Die hard.
Oh, so I should have texted you, and I should have
Aaron Boone should be fired.
Wait, so hold on. Were you
get rid of Garrett Cole? Fundamental baseball you learn in Little League. The play is always the first. You got to cover first. How Garrett Cole doesn't go to first would have got out of that inning with no freaking run scored. Horrible.
You sound like a guy that lost some money because of this.
Horrible. No, I don't bet on the Yankees because I think it's bad luck.
Okay. So are you happy for the Dodgers at all or no?
We have to be happy for the Dodgers.
Are they like rivals, like Lakers and Celtics, kind of?
I don't consider them rivals. Some people do because they moved from Brooklyn to California and whatnot. No, listen, they had a great season. You can't be mad at it. They were a better team this year. That's all there is to it.
Okay. Amazon. Why did you text me today saying Amazon bitches?
I feel like I'm the only one that has been saying Amazon for quarters. People thought I was crazy.
What did you see in this quarter that made you more excited?
What didn't we see in this quarter? Their revenue beat was $1.6 billion. Free cash flow on the TTM is about $48 billion. You have inflation continuing to come down. You have GDP growth. This is going to be the first $1 trillion revenue company. Eventually.
You did say this a couple of months ago. You were the first.
I've been saying this.
Yep, you have. Also, just look at the left-hand side of my screen. Look how diversified this business is, bro.
Yeah, look, Amazon is a low-margin business. They're never getting away from that. But let's really think about this for a moment. They have the best logistical network, probably behind the DoD.
Yeah.
The military industrial complex is probably the only entity that has a better logistical network than Amazon.
Yeah.
That takes capital to run. But guess what? Nobody is replicating what they have built. Nobody.
I think their 11% operating margins is what really secured the 7% move we saw today. And if that goes up to 15% over the next couple of years. As you said, they don't make money, but if they start making money,
robotics is going to be huge. Now, the big thing is going to be legislation with robotics, but this is a scenario where they may be able to really reduce costs through robotics over the next 5 to 10 years. And you could see that operating margin go to 15, 20% by 2035, 2040.
Yeah, and if that happens, given the amount of revenue they bring in, it's good.
I mean, think about it. If they get to $1 trillion by 2029, and then they get to a 15% operating margin in the next 5-7 years, I mean, you're talking about 150 billion operating income.
Yeah. That is fair. Okay. So last question on Amazon, AWS. You don't see that growth slowing down either.
I mean, even if it slows, if it's still growing, I'm good with it because profit center.
Yeah.
And anybody who thinks that should be split out as a separate company, please don't own Amazon as a shareholder.
Yeah, I would agree. 100% agree. I think it needs to be subsidized inside of the business. Let's talk about your other, I would say this is your most favorite company. I would say this is your pride and joy. This is the one you like this. You love Apple.
Meta is my pride and joy.
Okay, well, you definitely love Apple. Derek, hello to you as well, except you're not saying hi to me. So they missed on everything. Mac, iPad, Watch, AirPods, services, but the iPhone beat by $1 billion. What was your interpretation of this quarter for Apple?
I mean, it was fine. I wouldn't be bearish on Apple. I mean, this was their Q4. So I'm going to bring it up on my screen real quick. I just want to see one thing with Apple. What was their net income for the year? Let's say.
The one thing I loved about this quarter for Apple is that somehow the iPhone is more than 50%.
No, that's not. I hate that.
I mean, I hate that, but I'm also just like, God, this product is just like.
I got news for everybody. Let's be bearish on a company that just generated $93.74 billion in net income. Let's be bearish on the most profitable company in the market.
Well, hold on, Steve. That's a little unfair. This is a PE of 34. So you can bring up all the billions you want.
Let's be bearish on the most profitable company in the market that can legitimately do whatever they want at any given time.
That's trading at a 34 times price to earnings.
Where's Palantir trading?
Palantir's we don't got to talk about Palantir. We'll talk about Palantir.
Don't start going after Apple about a 33 PE when Palantir is trading at 100 or 110.
It's actually 220. Right? Get your numbers right, sir. Okay, it's 220.
Is it? Oh, it's 110 free cash flow multiple.
Yeah, it's the free cash flow.
So,
110.
I'm just saying that people get crazy about these PEs. What's Costco's PE? Isn't Costco's PE something like 40 or something like that?
Yeah, it's actually 60, I think.
Like freaking Costco. Like, what are we doing? Costco's forward PE is 49.
49, yeah, 49.2.
So you're telling me you'd rather own Costco at 49 times earnings than Apple at 33 times? Get out of here.
No. I agree. Apple's probably going to go up just because it's Apple. But for the people that are bearish, I don't think you can get mad. Like for people that are bearish on, Amazon because they don't like Amazon. You can be bearish on Apple but there's a reason you can be bearish for Apple, and that's valuation.
You can be bearish on any company. And if you're bearish on a company, you probably shouldn't invest because you don't believe in the company. And that's fine. You should invest in stuff you don't believe in. But the numbers are behind Apple. And the bottom line with Apple is they continue to buy back tens of billions of shares every quarter. They don't have to grow revenue to increase EPS. They continue to reward shareholders.
Yeah, but Steve, again, I think people universally love Apple products.
It's
the problem is
the biggest cult of consumers there is.
That's my point. The people that are bearish Apple are saying, how are we paying 34 times for something that's not at least Palantir's growing at close to 30%. Apple's not growing at all. There's no growth. It's like 2% growth year over year. So what is the point? What are you paying the premium for always, right? Are you paying the premium for innovation? No. Look at the Vision Pro. Look at the Apple car. Are you paying the premium for Tim Cook? No, he's going to be gone soon. Like, what is the premium that justifies a 34 PE? And the only thing I can say is passive index funds that are just like, if we buy Apple, our clients won't kill us. Is that the best reason? Well,
passive index funds have to buy Apple because it's the biggest company in the market.
But is that the best reason?
Well, that's not the reason, but it is a reason that helps Apple because every 2 weeks, Apple is getting, depending on where that Microsoft and NVIDIA fall at any given time at this point, it's getting the most money coming into the market from passive index funds. every 2 weeks. That's one. Two, you really have a big AI boom coming. Apple Intelligence will probably do very well.
Have you
And
upgraded
Apple-
your phone to the Apple Intelligence?
No, I
Why?
haven't.
Why?
And so I have a 14 Plus Max.
Oh,
I
so you haven't even
believe.
upgraded the phone itself. Interesting. Very
No, if I had a 15, I would get it in a heartbeat. But there's no reason for me to upgrade my phone until my battery starts going. I don't think that at this point, Apple Intelligence has enough on it for me just to go get another phone.
So why
But
are you saying
probably-
that Apple Intelligence is so good then?
No. I said it will be so good in a couple of years that everybody who has Apple will have it.
Wait, hold on. Where did this couple years come from, Steve? You ever 2027? We're having Siri that can do some stuff, or
Well, a couple is two. I didn't say several. And look, if they had an AI assistant that could do a lot of tasks for me, I would go upgrade my phone now. But I'll probably wait another year until my battery starts conking out a little bit before I upgrade. But
Yeah.
eventually, I do think that you'll have a Siri assistant that will be able to take your credit card, get the best plane ticket for you on an aisle seat or whatever, business class, first class, whatever you want, be able to book hotels. And it'll be able to do a lot of things. Just be able to type in like quick notes that I want to leave on the 14th, come back on the 21st. I need a hotel room within X amount of space of here, et cetera, et cetera. It'll do everything for you. And then that's just a remedial case. But you'll have Siri, if that's what it's going to be able to do stuff along those lines and probably even further. And I think that that's going to be worth a $5, $10, $15 a month subscription fee to a lot of people because it'll be kind of an executive assistant.
But if that happens, then why would people use Google to book their flights? Like, like if Siri can book a flight and get my food and book my Uber, why would I use Google for anything?
You've heard of Android, right?
Sure.
Okay, they'll have the same thing.
Okay, that's
who's Android owned by? Who's Android?
Google pays Apple $15 billion to be on the iPhone for a reason. A lot of people that have iPhones.
But who is Android owned by?
Okay, I get your point. I get it. So your argument is the agentic orchestration of tasks. That was a nice little phrase, right? Agentic orchestration. That was cool.
Can you spell that word?
I probably stole it from some podcast or something. But you're saying those tasks aren't good enough yet, and as a result, you don't want to upgrade. So why do you think other people will, aka buy the iPhone?
So for me, it's not good enough for me to upgrade. But I think there's people that have the 15 and are going to buy the 16 that are going to pay the monthly price for Apple Intelligence because they already have the hardware.
I mean,
but for me to upgrade, it's got to get a little better.
I upgraded 2 days ago, and dude, I cannot tell you. I actually didn't talk about this on the show yet. I am so pissed off at this notification summaries nonsense. Like when I see my text messages or I see Twitter notifications and it creates a note, it summarizes it. It's just annoying, dude. It's like not useful at all. Okay. Like, and if that's their big feature, it's garbage. It's absolutely stupid. Like I don't need notification summaries at all.
Look, I still think Apple is missing an opportunity. They should buy Warner Brothers Discovery, and they should buy MSG Corporation, and they should build out Apple TV and take chess pieces off the board, take Knick games off TV, take Ranger games off TV, have it all be on Apple, get into the whole streaming thing. You're seeing Thursday Night Football on Amazon. You're seeing streaming services get into sports. You have several public companies that own sports teams. Apple should just buy them all. Manchester United.
Well, Apple did take a $400 million stake today in their satellite provider that does the GPS signaling for the iPhone. So they didn't make some. But this is my point, right? Like this is why it's hard for me to buy Apple right here. But I agree with you. The market will still buy it, and so.
Yeah, it's hard to bet against a company that is that ingrained in the culture, that has that type of following. I still know people that buy the new iPhone every year it comes out, even though they don't need it.
Yeah.
So just hard to bet against.
Can we talk about good old SoFi? Because it's been a while, and I think it's time to discuss it. This stock, you've been a champion of it for a long time. You've held onto your shares. It has moved 43% in the past month, and it looks like it got a whoopee from you, which is good. It looks like it's out of the doghouse of $7. How do you feel? Bullish, bearish? What do you think? Also,
I mean,
Derek,
look,
thank you for becoming a channel member, even though he's given out like 1,000 memberships, and this time he finally became a member. So thank you, Derek. Appreciate it. All right, what do you think about SoFi?
I mean, I think it's a very well-run company. I think that the market has it wrong. I think it should be higher. I still disagree with one of the moves that they made, but who am I to disagree with Noto? I mean, they obviously know the business better than I do. But the bottom line is that when you look at SoFi compared to some other companies, it still looks undervalued. And they continue to beat and raise, beat and raise, beat and raise. I'm almost getting sick of it. Beat and raise, beat and raise.
But this time it held up after the beat and raise.
It did hold up this time.
And you said it wouldn't.
I didn't think it was going to.
And neither did I. I mean, neither did a lot of people, to be honest, but it
Yeah.
did, which is
I think
really
we've
nice.
just gotten so used to the same repetitive beat, raise, fall, beat, raise, fall. This time when it beat, raised, and stayed, surprised everybody.
Yeah. Okay. That's what we got on SoFi. Derek, thank you again for the 50 gifted. I told him to stop doing this, but he does not
Yo,
listen.
what type of dirt do you have on this guy?
Yo, I feel like everyone in the chat is
Seriously.
gonna think, they're gonna think I've got something. I'm like blackmailing him or something. No, he just likes making everyone a channel member and getting attention. I guess he's an attention whore. That's what we have. With like me,
We need more good people like that.
we need more. No, he's actually a really, really good person, and he pays it forward a lot. Oh, let me do this before we talk about our favorite company. Would you ever go all in on Bitcoin?
No,
Like never?
no.
Like there's never a chance where you would liquidate your portfolio and just buy Bitcoin? Okay, moving on.
I'm trying not to laugh.
So the worst thing is you would buy Ripple though, which is the ironic part here.
Listen, we can have.
we're
a
not
very
talking about
long
Ripple. We're
conversation
not
about
doing
this.
it.
Once you do some due diligence on the actual utility of the two, it is crazy that anybody is still talking about Bitcoin.
Okay, fine. We will. I'll do some research. I've said this.
You
to
say
for
you
7
do research. You're not going to.
Can we
Do
talk about?
research. Can you get Brad Garlinghouse on, please?
Okay, I'll reach out to him. Told you that for like 7 months. Okay, can we talk about the company we've both done research on, which is Palantir? They've got earnings on Monday. I want a lot of your raw emotions on this company, and I want to know if you
scare
think
me.
they're going to beat.
They scare me
Why?
because I think they're going to beat. I just don't think it's going to be good enough to validate this valuation.
What is
And I'm
so
not
bad
saying
about?
it can't go higher. That's no. You and I have talked about this at length. I'm not saying it can't go higher. I just think the valuation's getting a little stretched.
Okay, can we talk about that? Let's go to the gym and talk about this whole stretch thing. Why exactly? Can we do some numbers? You want to bring up your free cash
Why are
flow
we
real
going
quick?
to the gym to talk about stretching? What are you talking about?
No, it was a joke, Steve, because you said it's getting stretched. So I said, all right, let's go to the gym.
Yeah, you can stretch on the floor. You don't need to go to
Okay.
a gym to stretch.
That's the most anal response I've heard in my life. But anyway, what exactly about the valuation is pissing you off on Palantir?
It's not pissing me off. It's made me a lot of money. I'm just saying that I don't know that this can continue to get bought at these levels the way that it has. I mean, obviously, you've had insiders selling a ton, hasn't affected it. But when you're trading at 100, 110 times free cash flow, I mean, so let's split the difference. Let's say they generate 900 million free cash flow this year because they said their adjusted is going to come in between 800 and a billion. Let's say they generate 900 million pure free cash flow. What's the market cap today? 110 billion,
I don't
105
know,
billion?
let's call it 95 to round up, 95 billion.
All right, you're at 105 times free cash flow. That is crazy talk
Why? Why is it crazy talk?
because you're paying 105 times the amount of free cash flow the company is generating. I mean, think about this. Apple is, even if you don't like Apple, let's just call their valuation $3 billion to make the math easy in my head so I don't have to get
3
Excel
trillion.
out.
3 trillion. 3 trillion.
You have 100 billion free cash flow, and I think it's more 105. But say 100 billion, trading it 30 times.
It's reasonable.
So a company generating 100 billion in free cash flow is trading at 30 times free cash flow. But a company trading at company generating 900 million is trading at 100 times. Come on.
Okay.
And I get the whole growth factor, but it's still, are you really, you got to think about it. If you're buying a company, and people hate when I use this analogy, but let's just say you're going to buy a company for $100,000. You're going to buy it outright. Are you buying a company that for $100,000 would you rather buy a company that's generating $10,000 a year in free cash flow or $50,000 a year in free cash flow?
50,000 any day of the week.
It's a no-brainer. You got, and this is where market doesn't have any set of parameters that every single person abides by. But at some point, you got to look at these businesses as these are still businesses, and you should be looking at the profitability metrics in some type of view.
Do you think that's why Carp has sold $250 million in the past 2 weeks, Palantir?
I don't. I think Carp, just like the other execs, have led this company for 20 years, and they have an opportunity to cash out and reap the rewards of decades of sweat, blood, and tears, and they deserve it. And I think that they're just taking an opportunity to sell.
But so here's my question. If Carp is selling 250 million and he's taking that opportunity, as you said, someone's buying that 250 million. Let's assume half of it is retail, half of it is institutional investors. Institutional investors aren't totally stupid. They're buying this thing at 105 times free cash flow. What is their logic?
Oh, now they have to for anybody who's putting into an S&P fund.
Okay. So you're saying it is a allocation weighting argument by the institutions, and that's why they're buying it.
Some institutions have to buy it right now. But the bottom line is the valuation looks expensive compared to other companies. Not saying it can't get more. Okay, it's the same thing as Tesla. Tesla never traded by anything that people would say was reasonable back in the day. Palantir could be another one that's a rule breaker. It's not just Tesla. I mean, companies have been rule breakers for a long time. This could continue to get even more stretched, and it may not pop. Who knows? I don't know. I wish I had a crystal ball. I'm just saying that I don't necessarily want to buy more at these prices.
On earnings, if they beat, they would need like a 40 to 45% growth quarter for them to like.
I think they need to have a blowout quarter for them to go up after earnings.
I would agree. I think we're going to get to 30%, but I don't know if that's enough. And
think about this. Everybody thought Ives was crazy, except for some people. Most people thought Ives was crazy saying 45 target next year on the high side. They already got there.
Yeah.
So did the story really change that much with Palantir?
No,
I mean,
it was S&P 500. That was it, to be honest. That's what
look,
changed.
this is a great company that you can't really replicate, and this is going to continue to grow their revenue. This is going to continue to grow upside. They're going to continue to have more partnerships, and I just think that it's gone up so much that what is the thing that's going to get them to keep going? I don't know. I think that they gotta, at this point, they got to get to 2 billion free cash flow.
Yeah,
it's about numbers now.
Oh.
I mean, how many more companies, unless they come out and say that they're working with Apple and Meta now, or Amazon is using them. I mean, saying Chevron's going to use them is not really as exciting. I mean, Exxon's already using them. BP's already using them. I mean, you really need, from a headline perspective, and I hate going to that, but you need the Mag 7 to start using them.
If it fell to 30, how would you feel?
I'd probably buy more.
When do you really buy more? Like 25?
Yeah, I think we said mid-20s would be like the sweet spot at this point.
Yeah. Again, I also think the narrative at 37, there's going to be dip buyers, 36, 38, 34. Like, it's going to take a lot of work to get it down to that. It would have to be a horrible quarter to really see 30 by the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, even if they just meet expectations, it could sell off 20, 30%.
Which gets us into the low 30s, you know?
Yeah, I don't like these valuations for a reason, because everything has to go right.
Yeah, and
you can't miss on anything at this level.
Yeah, that's what happened with Hood, right? They missed on 2 things and then got smacked after being up so much. And I think that could happen with Palantir. I also am uncomfortable with it going up this quick, this fast, because then it feels a little memey, right? Now, I've justified
just don't go up.
Stocks don't exactly. And I think for a lot of times people just think they do, and that's just not true. And it takes a humbling to realize that. And
We've
it
been
takes
here
time.
before. The difference is their numbers are really good now, but I don't know that it can justify continue to go up. It could stay here and it could trade between 35 and 45 for the next year or two
Well,
and grow into the valuation.
I think after earnings, that's the most likely scenario in my head. I think I think 35 to 40 is where and I think that's normal. That's still up 100% year to date. Like that's a very
I'd be good with that. And if they stay there for a year or two, I wouldn't be surprised at that.
yeah. Because also we would have more time to accumulate as the fundamentals get better. So
If this gets back down to the mid-20s, this is like buy more and more cover calls.
yeah, and I don't think that happens. I really don't think mid-20s happens. I could be wrong, but mid-20s on this is like, given the narrative, the story, S&P 500 growth. I mean, all the qualitative stuff we haven't talked about. Carp on CNBC. What was your reaction to that rant he had a couple days ago as well?
Look, as long as Carp doesn't blame X, Y, and Z and start banging his fist on the table, I'm fine. I mean, the guy definitely spent a lot of money on PR, and I like it.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
I guess there is another scenario that's beneficial to them. If we go into a global world war, it's probably going to be beneficial for Palantir, which obviously we don't want that to happen.
Okay, so Lee right here says, where's Arnie when we need a real Palantir booster? Lee, I love you, but me and Arnie also have conversations where he also agrees the valuation is that. This is one thing I don't like sometimes. People think we're being bearish because we're saying 105 times free cash flow is a little bit too much. What is your response to that? How would you categorize an answer?
You cut out. I didn't hear what you said.
I was saying if someone says, hey, Steve, you're being a bear on Palantir right here, what would be your
How the fuck am I being a bear on Palantir? I'm a shareholder. I've been bullish since the direct listing. I've written like 25 articles on about why I'm bullish. I'm not selling. I've never sold a share. I mean, I'm just saying, look, you can be bullish on a company and think the valuation has gotten ahead of itself.
I agree. And I agree with Matt Money right here. If it does go down, just because the valuation's up there, which everyone can admit, and we get to buy more, there's like nothing. I got to buy more Robinhood today, and I love the fact that I got it at $23.50.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, look, we also haven't even seen the synergies with Oracle yet. You got to think over the next 5 years, this is going to be a much bigger company than it is today. It's just right now, the valuation isn't great.
Lee says earnings are going to go up sharply is the answer. I think that earnings would have to, I think we need minimum of 40% growth for this stock to get closer to 50, if not 45% to get to that level. If we get 30% and we go to 50, then there's something different going on. Like if we put up a decent quarter, 30% I think would be decent. It's above expectations, but it's not phenomenal. And we go to 50 and like the street just buys it up, then that means there is something different. And you know, that could happen because Carp
definitely happen.
Because Carp is selling and the stock's not going down, right? Like, so there is an argument you can make that Carp and Teal, there's just so much liquidity that it doesn't matter.
And it could happen if they guide up. Like that's going to be the big thing. Forget the beat and raise. If they guide up, if they generate 30% year over year growth and then guide for a higher growth rate, yeah, this could go to 50, 55.
That's a good point you brought up. If Q4, they guide for, what was Q4 last year? Real quick, let me see. Let's do the numbers. Q4 last year, 2023. I should know this on the top of my head. I'm sad I don't know this. 2023 Q4, I think it's like 5 something or 6 something earnings release. What's the revenue? 608 million. Okay. So we would have to grow 35% on top of that, which would be $821 million. If they guide for Q4 saying we're going to do 930 million or something like that,
this
right?
This thing's going to 50 or 55.
Yeah. It's over. It's GG's. We're done. Because now you have a reaccelerating growth story. And although the valuation probably still wouldn't make like logical sense, it doesn't fucking matter because
it doesn't matter because the narrative will be they'll grow into it.
which they will if they're going to put up
Yeah.
$900 million in Q4.
Yeah.
Yes, they're growing into it. That's why I think Monday is going to be fun because it's before the election. No one knows what's going to happen. And then maybe they have a crazy beat. Maybe they have an F beat. And, the stock will react the way it does.
Yeah, I kind of don't want Tuesday to come. But
Okay, so can we talk a little bit about Tuesday? Just
Nope.
how are you generally feeling? You don't have to endorse a candidate, but how are you feeling about the election in America as an American
Look,
citizen?
I'll say the same thing I always say. I think half the country is going to be really mad and half the country is going to be really happy. And I don't know. As long as we get gridlocked, that's all I kind of care about at this point.
Well, what is your gut feeling? Who do you think is going to win? I'm not saying who you're going to vote for. What is your gut feeling? Who do you think is going to win?
I think it's real. I think that the polls are wrong. I think nobody knows shit about shit, and I think this is a toss-up.
So I told you a story today. I'll tell the chat this story. My dad has said for the past couple of months he was going to be voting for Trump, and yesterday he did his early voting, and he comes home and I said, "So who'd you vote for?" And he says Harris. And I said, "What? You've been saying Trump for a while?" And he says, "I just couldn't do it, dude. He's crazy." And
It's going to be a toss-up.
I
really
think that's going to
it's a
be.
toss-up.
I think there might be a lot of people across the world, across America, that might have that same sentiment. And if that's the case, you never know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, this is the hardest thing to predict, and I really don't put a lot of stock into any of these numbers because has a pollster ever called you?
No, I've never picked
Okay.
up either. If they did,
I've never met anybody who has ever talked to a pollster in my life. I've never even heard of a pollster calling anybody. Like in the chat, has a pollster ever called anybody in the chat? I mean, who are they talking to? I think these are all bullshit numbers.
yeah, I've been watching a bunch of videos on YouTube of these like guys that go around every state and they ask them like what's going to happen. And from what I've seen, Georgia and Pennsylvania, Trump's got to win PA, and if he doesn't, there's a hard roadmap. And Harris really needs to win Georgia, and if she doesn't, there is a roadmap. It's not as hard as Pennsylvania, but it's going to be 4 or 5 states. That's it. Right?
But it always comes down to that. The last blowout was Bush Sr., and that was because of the war.
Romney got blown out by Obama, right?
No. I mean, look at how many states went red during Bush Sr.
What election year was that?
Was that like 88?
Oh, I think you're right. Let me pull it up.
That was like a real blowout. He was against the caucus, I think.
No, he was against. Oh yeah. Oh, he won, right? Yeah, he was against the. Yeah. He pulled this up. Yeah.
He lost second term, but his first term, that was a blowout, I believe.
Well, Reagan had the big one of just.
Yeah, but that was. I mean, I guess God, I'm getting old. Bush Sr. wasn't that far off of Reagan, but you got
this one right here.
Yeah, I mean that. Look at that.
This is pretty incredible, dude. What are all these ads, bro? This is why Google's making so much money. Goodness, can't even look at this.
You got 426 electoral college votes. Even California was red.
Holy crap! Yeah, New Jersey has gone blue since '96. So
I mean, look, and this is why I don't put any stock in pollsters because I don't know anybody that's ever talked to one. And I think that you don't know what somebody's going to do until they get into the booth. And I think that this is going to be very tight. And I think it's going to be a toss-up. I can see it going either way.
So this was 2020. Let's take a look at this one. This one.
And I think Clinton won by a lot in his second term, too.
Clinton won by a ton in the second
Maybe
term.
not the first term, but I think the second term he won by a lot. I don't think it was as big as Bush Sr. in his first term, but I think Clinton did win by a lot.
So, I mean, this is the crazy thing about this. This map looks majority red right here on the right-hand side of my screen, but the biggest districts that got Biden the election
but
are blue.
land doesn't vote.
What do you mean by that?
Exactly what I mean by that. Land doesn't vote. Look at that map. It's a lot of dead freaking land. I can't stand that argument because the Midwest, take a look at Montana. How many people live in Montana?
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Huge state, but nobody lives there.
Okay, so if Harris wins and there's a split Congress, you think market's going to be fine, essentially.
I think it'll be fine.
If the Democrats sweep everything, you think there's going to be a little bit of issues.
I think if either party sweeps, there's going to be issues.
There's going to be a little bit of issues.
Yeah. I think the market wants gridlock. I think it's looking like gridlock, and I think that's why I don't think the market is pricing in a Trump win like some people. I think it's pricing in gridlock.
Yeah, and yeah, I agree because there's some people saying, "Oh, well, Harris will surprise because the market's pricing in a Trump victory." But you're right, market's not pricing in Trump; they're pricing in gridlock. Correct.
They're pricing in president doesn't matter. Democrats are going to get the Senate. Republicans are going to get the House, and you're going to have gridlock. So there's going to be no major changes in tax policy or corporate tax policy without some type of give and take on both sides. Now, with a clean sweep in either direction, you can have changing policy pretty easily.
Yeah.
But gridlock, look, the market's been working well. The market worked well when you had higher interest rates. With the Fed cutting rates and gridlock in Washington, that takes 28% corporate tax off the table to some degree.
No, there's no way. Republicans will never allow it. There's no way.
So, I mean, I think that the market will be fine as long as we get gridlock.
You know, if we get 269, that it would
Worst
be
case
Trump,
scenario,
Trump
don't
and
want
Waltz or Harrison
No.
Vance. It'd be one of those. That would be kind of funny, though. I think just for the humor, that would be cool to see.
This is what I'll say. The worst thing that can happen, this election needs to be a blowout in either direction.
But it's not going to happen. We know that's not going to be a blow. Like,
I'm just saying the worst thing that can happen is a close election. Either direction doesn't matter. It needs to be decisive. It needs to be a blowout in either direction.
Trump's got to flip one of the blue states for it to be New Jersey, New York, Maine, Vermont. Like he's got to flip one of those for it to be.
I don't want to see a close election. I don't want to hear it. Don't want to see it. Don't want to hear about it. Don't want anybody contesting. Like I want this to be a blowout in either direction so everybody can go on with their lives.
Yeah. The worst thing is if either side tries to say, well, you know, and like that's when it gets a little iffy.
Enough.
Okay. Tesla. Can we talk about that? They had monster quarter. Were you impressed at all?
No.
Not even a little bit.
No.
They're going to grow vehicles 20% next year. That's what Elon said.
Okay, great. Cool story.
1010 event FSD. You don't think that was kind of cool?
I think that. All right, I'm going to give you the unfiltered right now.
I haven't talked to you in 3 weeks on the show. Give me the truly unfiltered thoughts you have as a Tesla shareholder.
Stop with the robo-taxi bullshit.
Whoa. You would be
Just
happier if they got rid of the robo-taxi shit.
Just stop. I'm not saying get rid of it, but just stop talking about it until it's real. Like, focus on the bot, please, for the love. Oh my God. Focus on the bot. Look, Elon is not crazy when he says that there could be 5 to 10 billion bots on the planet at some point. He's not crazy. There's definitely going to be more bots than cars.
Wow. Can you, all right, while I play a video of the new Cybercab commercial, can you tell me why you're so bearish on the robotaxi?
Okay.
As you're looking at this beautiful gold vehicle pick people up autonomously.
Show me the video, please.
Sorry, I'm going to put the audio down. Oh, you haven't seen this. It's beautiful. Oh, shit. I'm not even sharing it. Sorry. Right here. It's pretty beautiful. Look at this thing. Look at how it looks like it's in a movie, dude. Look at these kids coming home from school, doing their homework. This guy's drawing on his iPad. This girl's sleeping. You know, went to the bar, probably got drunk. Safe. Says your name. Welcome. Yeah, they got a dog in there. Like, you want them to get rid of this? You want them to stop talking about this?
I didn't say get rid of it. I said stop talking about it until it's real. This isn't real.
But do you not feel like, oh my God, that's like cool as a shareholder?
Yeah, when it can make money. This is a fairy tale right now.
Damn.
All right, look at it like this. One, insurance. So let's go down the FSD rabbit hole.
Okay, let's do it.
From an insurance aspect, we don't know if insurance carriers are going to write policies for FSD.
That's
That's
true.
the first thing.
That's true.
Okay. If they don't, Tesla's going to have to become an insurance company. Because right now, anybody who owns a Tesla, did you buy one?
So I put the
All
probably
right,
by
so you didn't
November,
get it.
November 7th. I should be picking it up.
Okay. So my cousin just bought one. And he's raving about FSD. It's so cool, blah, blah, blah. So I said to him, have your car come pick me up. He's like, well, you can't do that. I'm like, yeah, no shit.
Okay, yeah.
He's like, it parked itself. He's like, it took me here. I'm like, yeah, great. Did you sit in the driver's seat? He's like, yeah. I'm like, did you have your hands on the steering wheel? He's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's not fucking full self-driving. So it's full supervised driving. Same acronym, different meaning. He's like, you don't understand. I'm like, no, I completely understand. You had to stay alert. You couldn't nap. There's no law. I said, if you got into an accident and you didn't have your hands on the wheel, you'd be
Oh,
screwed.
you're fucked. You're fucked. Yeah, Tesla's not paying for that shit. Yeah.
So until you have clear insurance about who's responsible, what carriers are actually going to have policies for this, when this actually becomes real at the level 3 or whatever the hell they need to get to. Like, they still aren't even at level 3.
To do some pushback, Waymo, Google owns it, announced 150,000 paid rides a week. Obviously, the market's there and it's growing rapidly. So why are you stressed about insurance then? It seems like an idiosyncratic thing that'll get fixed along.
Waymo is through Google. That is not you buying a freaking car and using it autonomously.
Yes, correct.
Two different things.
Yeah.
If a Waymo gets into an accident, most likely Google's covering it because they own the company. Now, if you have a Tesla and you get into an accident, who's covering it? There needs to be clear direction on insurance. That's one. Two, this isn't real because some little town in Arizona is using it. Like, you need real legislation in the huge cities. And I know Los Angeles, blah, blah, blah. I don't see any less cars on the pictures from the highways out there. And this shit certainly isn't real in New York. I mean, this needs to have federal regulation. This needs to have clear insurance regulation. And then I'll get excited about it. But until then, it's just, it's not exciting to me.
So you would rather them focus. Okay, let's say Tesla has $10 billion.
Focus on both, but don't talk about robotaxi until it's a real thing.
But I'm saying, would you rather them focus more of their resources on the bot if they had to pick, or 50-50?
So I'm good with 50-50 because there is a very big application for this on
I'll bring you back. Hold on a second. That was the first time we had someone interrupt Steve. So there you go. It's the real. This is why he always has the bricks in his background. Look, I think Steve has a point here. The problem is, when I saw those Waymo stats, to me it just said the market's getting bigger and bigger, and it seems like that's not slowing down.
So when it comes to the 50-50 split, there's a lot of application where you could have Ford and GM and these other companies, Stellantis, utilize Tesla's operating system for FSD, which could be huge. So I'm fine with them developing this. I just don't think it's going to be real anytime soon. Whereas the bots, the second that they have these bots out, not only can they utilize it in their own factories, but they can utilize it wherever. And they can sell it to every company. We won't be able to buy one for probably 10 years because Amazon, Walmart, all these other places are going to buy them up. I mean, the demand for the bot is going to be huge.
So you think they should spend more time on the bot? That's your point.
I'm good with 50-50, but I would rather see more time on the bot because not only are you going to buy a bot for 25 or 30 grand, there'll probably be a monthly package where the bot continuously learns and it gets better with every task that it does across the network. And you think about the amount of shipping, think about the amount of warehouse stuff, billions of bots will get sold. And Tesla, I know there's other companies. I know you guys are invested in one of them. I'm not going to say the name, but the bottom line is I don't see any company that can compete with Tesla from a manufacturing standpoint.
Yeah, and look, even if
So-
the company that I'm invested in, which is called Figure, if they win, that doesn't mean Tesla loses either, right?
Yeah, I think there's going to be multiple winners. I just think that if Tesla puts the right resources behind it, we see what they did with cars. They did the most unlikely thing and beat the automobile industry at their own game. Nobody thought this was going to work. This was a pipe dream in the beginning. There's no reason they can't do this with bots, especially when there's no competition. Like they can make the industry instead of reinventing the industry. And I just think the bot thing has so much more potential than Robotaxi. So much more.
But if I agree with Josh right here, if the bot is really far down the road, maybe the focus from a marketing perspective needs to be the Robotaxi, right? Otherwise,
is the bot down the road or so far down the road? I mean, supposedly he thinks that they can start being sold end of next year.
I think he's right on that. I think he's right.
I mean, whether you want to go down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theory about somebody with a joystick controlling Optimus at the event, you can't deny the dexterity in the hands is there. You cannot deny the dexterity in the limbs is there. So when you think about AI advancements, I am buying two bots, one for my parents and one for me. I mean, it's just, you're telling me that people aren't going to finance a bot over a 5 or 7 year period to do all the chores you don't want to do and get your time back and not hurt your back shoveling snow or doing the grass or doing this stuff? I mean, it's going to happen. This is going to be, you're going to see bots everywhere.
Yeah, and again, I don't really think bots inside of your house are happening soon, but I think bots inside of Amazon's warehouse are happening very soon.
That'll be the first thing. I don't think we will be able to buy a bot for 10 years.
We got Chad right in the chat. From someone who bought FSD in 2018, we have some time to go on bots out in the wild in your home. I agree. I think it's at least 5 years.
Maybe.
But I think Amazon
But you look at how much information is in warehouses, if you really may see bots in warehouses in the next year or two.
I think, yeah, I 100%. And I think that's where a lot of money, like if Amazon replaces people with bots, I mean, they're not only their margins are going up.
Well, global. It's called global. This is not just a US thing. Tesla
Yeah.
has a global market on this.
Yeah.
How about the coal industry? How about mining? Think about all the applications.
Yeah. So would you be buying more Tesla at an $800 billion market cap? Or
No,
so you don't like it after this run up after earnings?
no.
But 175-ish, like what is your range for like, okay, I need to get more Tesla?
Yeah, I think 150 to 175 is interesting. I think my price per share is probably in the 150 range, that area. I'd have to really calculate it after the cover calls, but my price per share is probably around there.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think it's overvalued here. And I'm not afraid to say that. I mean, Tesla trades at, let's see. Oh, cool. 100 PE. Another company that trades at 100 PE. I mean,
Derek says Amazon has 750,000 bots right now in the warehouse. Yeah, a lot of these manufacturing warehouses are using bots. The question is,
yeah, but not bots like we're talking.
Not humanoid robotics,
Yes.
but a lot of them are using. I mean, Tesla uses a
Yeah,
ton
I
of
mean,
robots. as well.
Look at JD.com. JD.com has videos from 2017 where they had almost fully automated warehouses. So, I mean, robotics is the future.
Yeah,
And plus, is anybody looking at the taxi market, how big the actual taxi market is? Like everybody's going crazy over robo-taxi, yet the numbers that are getting thrown around are double what the actual taxi market is.
well, Kathy thinks it's a $5 trillion market. No, $8 trillion by 2030.
Get her on the show so I can debate her, please.
Dude, have you realized no one talks about Kathy that much anymore? Like she's kind of. I mean, people just don't bring her up anymore because, you know.
I'm going to one of my other articles on Tesla. I want to get the exact numbers for the taxi industry. Just give me a sec.
Joe says the only thing that can compete with Tesla bots are Chinese kids.
Here we go. The taxi market is in 2024 $278.65 billion, and it's expected to grow to $432 billion in 2029 at a 9% CAGR. And the fastest growing market is Asia Pacific. This includes Didi, Lyft, Uber, Grab, Yellow Cab, everything. These are numbers out of Mortar Intelligence.
So what would you say to this? Chat says it's not about the taxi market, it's about the idea of not having to own a car.
That's the taxi market. Like, what are you talking about? That's a taxi market. If I don't have to own a car and I need to hail a ride, that's a taxi service.
I mean, but like
there is no about it. That's a taxi.
But like going to your local grocery store, you don't get a taxi, you get an Uber for that. You know what I mean? Like there's
the same thing.
I don't know
Whether it's an Uber or a Yellow Cab drive, I mean, it's the same freaking thing.
I see your point, but I see the broader point of people saying, hey, if we could pay a monthly subscription for rides.
There is no other point. That's a taxi service.
Or we could
just may not have a person driving it.
No, but the person not driving it is how the cost per mile significantly decreases. That's the point.
I'm fully aware of that. But I'm just saying that is a taxi service. So you're telling me that people are just not going to own cars anymore?
Well, how the hell
I doubt that very much.
How did Kathy get to 8 trillion, dude? If you're saying it's 274 billion, where is she getting 8 trillion?
I don't know, but I mean, the bottom line is you see the amount of cars on the road. You see people traveling to and from work. Do we really think somebody that drives to and from work 5 days a week is going to utilize a robo-taxi 10 times a week versus owning a car? Do we really think that? Are there going to be enough for everybody to do that? The answer is no.
Uber puts up, I believe, $30 billion of revenue a year. So Tesla's not taking all of that. But your argument is that if they get to 15 billion or something like that, the multiple you put on that business is not that high. That's your point, ultimately, is what you're saying.
My point is that the entire ride-hailing market, whether it's Yellow Cab or Uber, is $278 billion right now. Tesla would have to take 100% of that, and they still don't come close to the numbers people are throwing around.
Doug says Elon's not going after the cars on the road. He's going after the cars in parking lots and garages.
Cars in parking lots and garages?
I guess he's talking about cars that are stable, that are not doing anything, that could be useful. But then technically that's going after cars on the road to an extent.
Yeah, so all the people in New York City, like myself, that have cars in parking garages. I get that. But I drive a lot. I'm driving myself. I would prefer to own a Tesla when full self-driving is real and I can do whatever I want in the car. I'm not getting a freaking Cybercab.
I do see that argument. Like, I'd rather have my own Tesla with FSD and just chill in my own private space versus call up a Cybercab. I'll probably use it here and there in life. If you're going out
sure as hell not allowing my car to go into a robo-taxi mode.
Oh, so you wouldn't let your car go drive other people around?
No, one, I'm buying my car for me, not for anybody else to be in. That's one. Two, if you put your car into a robo-taxi scenario and it gets into an accident, who's responsible? Does that go on your insurance policy? You weren't driving, but it's your car. The VIN's registered to you. Does that go on your insurance policy?
But these concerns, I feel like, will get figured out over time. Those are concerns.
I'm not saying they won't get figured out. I'm just saying that that's something that needs to be figured out.
Yeah. Okay.
Too many what ifs, pie in the sky. The revenue's not there from this market, and people are probably not getting rid of their cars to utilize a Cybercab for everything they need. People who don't drive a lot and just go to the store once in a blue moon, it will definitely be more efficient and you'll get utilization out of that. But people who actually commute to and from work 5 days a week, or sales reps that are driving around all over the place, aren't going to be using Cybercabs.
Well, I just did a poll in the chat. Who agrees with Steve on FSD? Let's see kind of what it looks like. You do have some people in the chat that absolutely agree with you that it's 50-50, 52-48 yes to no. I agree bots is a bigger market, but I think it's just too far away for them to focus on it over FSD right now. But bots 1,000% is a bigger market. Like, objectively, bots.
Think about how much AI has advanced in the past year. You start putting AI in these bots, and we haven't even talked about the military-industrial complex scenario for bots.
Okay, so here's the thing. Do you think Tesla should sell bots to the military?
100%.
Do you think Elon would do that?
If he doesn't, General Dynamics will.
I don't know if Elon would do it. I think Elon would consider it. I don't know if he would actually go through with it.
Lucky Palmer will. Don't you worry.
Lucky Palmer. Well, that's true. Lucky Palmer might. You know, if you could privately invest in Anduril right now, would you?
Yes.
So you think Anduril could be a big one?
So let me rephrase that because I have an opportunity to invest and I haven't. If there was a company I trusted to buy shares on the secondary market, I would.
What valuation for Anduril you think is appropriate? 10 billion?
I
15
haven't
billion?
even looked at the numbers. I have no idea. I just think it's going to be I think it's going to get much bigger.
Oh, we have 60-40. Agree with you. Yes to no. 60% yes, 40% no.
Yeah, I'm not saying they won't be a thing. I'm just saying that people are overblowing this.
Well, this is the thesis until bots become real. So, like, if you're buying Tesla right now at 800 billion, I think we can all sense that you think the thesis is dumb. Okay, a couple other wild card stocks. Celsius. We talked about this a month ago. Any updated thoughts on this?
Not interested.
Why? Is there any specific reason you're not interested?
I don't know. I don't even remember why I didn't. I think it was margins and everything else. Last time we looked at it, I'm not into it. I don't know.
Okay. By the way, Steve Seeking Alpha link is right there. ET, thank you for that. PayPal.
I like PayPal still. I still think it's undervalued, but I mean, it was a good quarter. It wasn't a bad quarter. I just think that, it's run a lot and it wasn't a blowout quarter to get it to go to 85 or 90. So it's retracing, but I think they're fine long term. I'm surprised somebody hasn't bought them out already.
PayPal? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm surprised Visa or MasterCard hasn't purchased them.
I mean, that is a lot they're gonna have to pull up $60-70 billion. That is a decent amount.
Right, so, but you're buying a company that's generating $6 billion free cash flow.
That's true.
It's really not that crazy of a deal.
Are you still bearish Rocket Lab?
Yeah, Matt is not going to be able to convince me to buy Rocket Lab.
Why? He's convinced everyone else to buy Rocket Lab. Why can't he convince you?
I mean, I don't understand the company, and I don't want to understand.
They put rockets up. What do you mean you don't understand?
That's a statement. I don't understand how they make money or what it's not something I'm into.
They get money from companies that want them to send shit into space. It's not that complicated.
I can't invest in everything.
I know you can't. I'm just saying your thesis here is just you don't get it, but I feel like it's simple.
I'd rather own VC properties than freaking Rocket Lab.
Rocket Lab's like doubled. Because Rocket Lab's it's done very well this year. I mean, like,
okay.
The thesis has been pretty strong.
Do you know what VC properties is?
I know it's underperformed Rocket Lab. That's all I'll say.
But do you know what they are?
It's a REIT, right?
It's a REIT.
Okay, it's a REIT. It's a REIT over Rocket Lab is not that interesting. It could be a really good REIT.
They own Caesar's Palace, MGM.
Okay, why is that exciting? Like, who cares? Who gives a fuck about
because you're the house
Caesar
to
salads. You think I care about Caesar's Palace?
You're the house to the casinos. You own the land and the buildings.
That is not an interesting business.
Casinos are your tenants. 5.5% dividend.
It's a good divvy, but Rocket Lab's up a lot. There's a
okay.
difference.
So is Palantir.
Well, it's Palantir. That's true. Altria Group. They had earnings. They crushed.
I didn't even see it yet.
Okay, well, they had a good earnings, so you can.
What are they at right now?
53. They're down 1% today, but
Woo!
I know you love cigarettes.
Big Mo.
Big MO.
Big Mo.
What are your current updated thoughts on China?
Hold on one sec. Let's look at BTI. Did BTI do anything? BTI is the sleeper right here. I'm telling you right now.
This is cigarettes too, right?
When are their earnings? So their earnings are on the 7th of November. This is the sleeper. If Altria blew it out, BTI is a free cash flow machine. They're trading at less than 8 times earnings.
What does British America do?
Tobacco.
Tobacco.
So in the trailing 12, they've generated 13.3 billion in cash from operations and spent less than 600 on capex. They're generating 12.5 billion in free cash flow, and their market cap is 76 billion.
So you would buy BTI over Rocket Lab?
All day, every day.
Okay, Matt says, do you trust his judgment? I feel like we all trust Matt's judgment, but you just hate Rocket Lab, so you can't trust his judgment on that
Yeah,
one.
not with Rocket Lab.
Well, I trust your judgment, Matt, and I would buy Rocket Lab over BTI. Derek says I cannot invest in this type of shit, so that brings up the moral question that we always have to ask. You feel no
Is it
qualms
legal?
about?
It's legal.
So you feel no issues with investing in cigarettes?
It's legal.
Okay, but when you sleep at night, knowing that
I
people
sleep
are
like
smoking-
a baby.
this is one of the first
Yeah,
conversations
look,
we had.
I'm not saying that people should use the products or not. I'm just saying it's a company that has good numbers.
Okay,
That's all.
That's fair.
I mean, should somebody invest in Raytheon because they make missiles?
Look, I'm just asking you the question. I'm not taking a stand.
Should you invest in Coca-Cola because sugar causes diabetes? I don't know. That's not my thing to answer.
It's a fair point. It is a fair point. Are any of the oil and gas companies like Oxy interesting to you, given oil fell over the past?
Devon Energy is interesting to me. And I do like BP here. And I think if Chevron falls a little bit, Chevron would be really interesting. But the pipelines are the ones that are very interesting to me. Energy Transfer still.
Kinder Morgan.
Kinder Morgan. Yeah. I mean, Kinder Morgan's run a lot. So I don't know how much room it really has. But Energy Transfer, I think, is still a good one to think it gets to at least 20.
Okay, so let's end it off with, by the way, before we talk about NVIDIA, Grindr, I told you this thesis a while ago. This bad boy's at 1350. I don't have any because I didn't take my own advice. I mean, no, it was at 1240, and then so now it's not crazy move, but it's getting some love.
Listen, I don't hate it. Your thesis was good. I don't hate it.
I'm still deciding.
I would even look at Match Group. I mean, Match Group.
No, Match Group sucks, dude. Match Group. Grindr's a monopoly.
I think that those online dating platforms are very interesting investments. I'd have to really look at the numbers, but I think they just get bigger.
Yeah. Okay. NVIDIA. They have earnings. This is a company you're paying $3.3 trillion for.
Get ready for a blowout.
You think they're going to crush?
Yeah.
You don't think there's any chance NVIDIA disappoints?
No. Well, disappoints is an opinion. Do I think they beat estimates? Yes. Do I think people think it's good enough? Who the hell knows? Because that's an opinion. But when you look at CapEx, and somebody owes me an apology on CapEx, but when you look at CapEx,
who owes you an apology?
Nobody owes
me. When did I say CapEx was going down? When did I say?
But when you look at CapEx going forward, and these companies say they're not going to stop spending, then I think NVIDIA is going to crush earnings.
You don't think it's crazy at all to pay $3.3 trillion for a company doing $30 billion of revenue?
They have a 52% profit margin as a hardware company. Think about that.
The question remains: you don't think it's crazy to pay $3.3 trillion?
No, because they're trading at, let's say, from an earnings standpoint, 27 times 2026 earnings. I mean, huge earnings growth. I mean, you're going to get 42% earnings growth next year.
That's massive off their base. That is massive. Agreed.
And this isn't going from 5 billion to 7 billion. This is in 2023, they generated 4.4 billion in net income. Last year, they generated 29.7 billion. And in the trailing 12, they generated 53 billion. They could generate 75 billion in net income next year. And Jensen's talk about Blackwell and the demand. This is just, when you look at what all these companies said on earnings calls about CapEx, once again, you look what Southern Company said about data centers, and 80% of their next decade electricity that's being brought online is from data centers. I think you got a couple of year runway for NVIDIA. Whether it goes down this earnings call, I don't care. I think this is more, has at least another year and a half, 2 years of going up before you start seeing a plateau.
So
And
here's
it
my
could dip
question.
in between.
Your goal with NVIDIA is to ride it up and then get the hell out before it collapses. Don't you think people will start to get the hell out before everyone realizes they have to get the hell out? And like, it'll be really hard to time getting the hell out. Like, what is your exit plan on this if you're not
Yeah, I'm
long?
not saying I'm going to be able to time it perfectly, but I've been pretty successful on writing my call options to bring my cost basis down. And, I have a number in my mind that I would get out at. And I do think over the next couple of years is the sweet spot.
So 250, I'm guessing, is your number.
Yeah, around there. I mean,
That's a double
do I
from
think
here.
it can get to 5 trillion market cap? Yeah, I do. I also think Microsoft and Apple are going to get to 5 trillion. But,
Yep.
Going from 5 to 10 trillion is a much different story. And at that point, the question becomes, what happens after Blackwell? Is Blackwell the plateau or not? Is Blackwell the point where you don't have the next iteration that's so much better that companies need because Blackwell's so good? Like, they could be a victim of their own success at some point. And that's what I'm going to bet against. So I think I can ride up to 225, 250, 275 and then get out. And if it keeps going up, I can't be mad because I made money.
There's also an argument that all these humanoid robots.
That's not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, if NVIDIA is still the dominant player, then you have to reevaluate what I said. And it could be something where you say, look, this can go to 10 or 20 trillion.
Whoa, we got some big news. If this is correct, NVIDIA is joining the Dow Jones? Really?
Why is that shocking?
No, I'm just saying, like, let me make sure about that. I thought this, I mean, you would imagine the stock up a little bit more on that. NVIDIA is up 0.5% right now after hours. NVIDIA, Dow Jones. That's the Dow Jones is 30 companies, right? The top 30.
Yep.
Yeah. NVIDIA and Sherwin-Williams are replacing okay, it doesn't say who they're replacing, but Vistra is also replacing the AES Corp in the utility average. Let me share this right here. Okay, so NVIDIA is now in the Dow Jones. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's just there's no company that can rival them. I don't think AMD or Intel touches them. Where this stops, I have no idea. But it's just, at what point does diminishing returns happen?
Yeah, and I think that
I'm
they're
not going to be able to call it. Hopefully, I can write enough cover calls where I only want to sell half my position and then just let the other half ride until whenever.
Oh, it's replacing Intel. It's Intel. They're
Yeah,
replacing. So hold on. Is Intel down on this? Hold on. Oh, by the way, are you buying Intel right here?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, Intel's down.
Intel's my dark horse.
You like Intel here?
I do.
Do you like that they're cutting 20,000 people?
I hate when people lose jobs, and I hate when.
But as a
companies
shareholder,
go
you
away.
have to love it if you like Intel.
But, from a investment aspect, the real question is, do I think Intel's going away? No. There's too much of the server market. x86 is not going away. Sorry, but computers are going to be using x86 for a long time. Don't want to hear about ARM. It's not happening. Nobody buys those Microsoft Surfaces with the ARM chips. Like, x86 is what laptops and desktops are going to run on. And Intel has the majority of laptop and server market. AMD's done a very good job at closing the gap on desktops, but you got two big catalysts coming up. Windows 10 gets sunsetted October 2025, causing a huge upgrade cycle to Windows 11 machines, because not every computer can be upgraded to Windows 11 because you need a very specific chipset, causing people to buy more computers. Intel just released AI chips. AI computing is probably going to become a real thing over the next couple of years. That's another upgrade cycle. So I really like Intel here, especially given the fact that even though their fab business loses money now, companies want to buy fabs from somewhere other than Taiwan Semiconductor. If Intel can pull this off, it is going to be a gigantic catalyst that people are sleeping on. And if it doesn't happen, I don't think Intel gets any cheaper than this. So I think you're at the bottom. It can always get cheaper, but it doesn't look like it wants to go below that $20 area.
Any thoughts on SMCI and their kerfuffle this week?
I don't follow them. I don't care.
Any thoughts on Boeing as a stock?
Yeah, you and I had that conversation.
Would you take a gander at them at 150
No.
or no?
No. Too many problems.
By the way, Nvidia's up 1%.
Boeing needs catastrophic things to happen. At this point, I think I just too many problems to get behind that right now. There's too many other investments. Why would you want to put your money in Boeing when you can put it in Amazon?
Okay, last question for you. Do you think 2025 is going to be bullish or bearish?
Bullish.
Do you think it's a replication? Do you think it repeats 2024?
Setup's too good. So right now, the S&P is up year to date 20%. Let's say we finish up 25%.
Yeah.
I think 2025 can replicate that. Look, you have a very good business environment you're going into. You have GDP growth past 9 quarters. Okay. You have the Fed taking rates lower by 50 bips. You're probably going to get 25 bip reduction next quarter. Next week.
Yep.
The Fed is probably taking rates to 3.5% next year based on the dot plot. And then around 3%, maybe just under in 2026. So you have a lower rate environment with an economy that's expanding. Unemployment's getting lower. Okay, it fell the past 2 quarters. That combination sets the stage for businesses to expand. When businesses expand, more money is being spent on goods and services. The biggest companies in the market will benefit greatly from this because as businesses expand, they need more cloud, they need more office licenses, they need more of everything from their current companies. And I think that this is just going to cause the biggest companies to get bigger, and that will drive the market higher.
Wow, Nvidia really getting some love right here. I agree with everything you said, but Nvidia up 1.4, Intel's down 1%. If the business capital spending cycle, as you said, in 2025 continues to be robust, I think the bears can, cry about certain things. We'll get some pullbacks, but the broader market. Probably.
Why would you ever be a bear? Like, it's got to be the most tiresome and hard thing to do because you'll be right eventually, but how much upside do you miss being a bear? And then you never know when to get back in. And the markets over time are just going to go up. You're going to have retracements, you'll have recessions, but look at history. Past history, every single drastic downturn has reversed.
Yeah, and it's weird because you're trying to time this bearish thing happening, but you have no idea if it really will happen. If it doesn't happen, you miss the run up, then you have to time yourself back in, but then you don't want to get back in at 570 because you felt like you missed out on getting in at 520.
Just keep buying the S&P. Just keep buying the S&P. That's it. You'll buy it high, you'll buy it low, you'll buy it in the middle, but you'll just keep buying. And you have access to the greatest companies in the world.
Yep. Nvidia, yes, is in the Dow. For those that are wondering, Nvidia is indeed.
I don't understand the bear mentality because I know people that have been saying the NASDAQ's been overvalued since 10,000.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just the whole mentality is crazy. And look, even if we get a 20% correction, are you still going to be bearish down 20%? We're going to say, it's going down 30, it's going down 40. Like at some point, you're going to be wrong.
Yeah. And the problem is, if you're bearish and we go up 100%, then we go down 20%, you still have to buy in way. Wrong. Yeah, and you're buying at a way higher price than you could have bought when we were.
Well, you're still wrong because you still missed out on 80% upside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't understand the bear case, and I don't think the market is set up for a bear case right now. I think that there's a lot of market dynamics that are going to work in everybody's favor. Well, from Coca-Cola to Google.
Rates are coming down. People need a yield on their capital. Money is not staying stagnant.
And think about this. When rates come down, companies with a lot of debt on the balance sheet pay less servicing the debt, and they can refinance and kick the can down the road and still decrease their annualized expenses on interest.
My
payments.
dad bought a
So-
house 15 years ago, and he's thinking of refinancing it, but he's just waiting for rates to come down a little bit more. And yeah, it's like once we get to 4%, 5% rates, you're going to get a lot of capital activity still happening.
Yeah, and to go to your point, people are not this whole T-bill and chill thing. The T-bill and chill thing was the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Oh
Why?
my God, 5%, 4% T-bill rates. Because people got smoked. They got smoked. So you buy a T-bill, okay, at 4% or 5%. You're paying a discount for the T-bill. You buy a $1,000 T-bill, you're paying a 5% less for that T-bill. You're not actually getting that interest payment. It's just when the T-bill turns, you get $1,000 for it. So if it has a 5% yield, you're just paying 5% less for the actual T-bill. You put your money in a money market or a CD. Say you lock up $1,000 in a CD at 5%. Okay, you get $50 in a year in interest. So now you put that $1,000 after another year in a T-bill, you get another 5%. You've made $100 in 2 years at 5%.
With inflation at 2.5%. So,
I mean, you're telling me you'd rather be in a CD or a money market than the S&P?
yeah, dude, it's hard to imagine money stays on the sidelines as we cut rates. Maybe it doesn't all go in 2025, but over the next couple of years, you're going to
It's
see some
not
money.
all going to go in, but people who have been using it as a proxy to generate income, that's going to change.
By the way, your Nvidia stock is going up even higher, up 2% right now.
Now, as long as it doesn't go past 143 next week, I'm happy.
All right. I think that's it for us. This was a fun one. People appreciated it. It's been 3 weeks. So happy we got to talk. Any plans for the weekend?
Working.
Are you writing articles over the weekend?
Yes, sir. I'm writing one on Simon Property Group right now.
I like that. I like Simon Property Group. That's a good one. SLG. Where's SLG, by the way? That one.
77, 78.
Wow. SLG 74. But SLG has been incredible, man. That's been a great one.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank
it's
you,
been good.
Steven. Appreciate it. I'll talk to you next week again on Friday. We'll go from there.
Yeah, we can have a CapEx discussion at some point.
Can we talk about this real quick before you leave?
What?
This drink that you like to drink?
What drink?
Not alcohol, but the other thing. I already told the chat you like to drink it anyway, so I might as well just say it. But
I have no
Steven,
idea what you're talking about.
you like drinking milk.
Yeah, why? Ice cold milk's a great thing.
I don't get it, dude. Ice cold milk is not only disgusting to me, it's just one of those things like you could drink water over milk and I'd be happier than drinking milk. Like, you know, there's this like revolution against milk that people are having that it's like not the best for you. The lactose stuff
It's
is not good.
delicious.
Do you eat cookies with the milk too? Is that?
Yes, sometimes nice chocolate chip cookie. Yes.
Yo, you are Santa Claus, bro. You are freaking Santa. We gotta get you in the white beard and everything. But also you like chocolate milk too. So you do like
I
some.
do. Yeah. And I don't know what's better, nice good chocolate chip cookie or an Oreo. I don't know what's Milk's favorite cookie. I'm trying to figure that out.
Okay, that's a poll we end the show on. I've had this debate with myself because I'm a big cookie guy. I don't eat them as much anymore. But when I was little, we would have debates in school about this shit, dude.
Now, what's the best type of cookie?
Oreo or chocolate chip? That's a real debate.
They're both so good. It depends what you're in the mood for. I think the real question is what type of chocolate chip cookie. Let's just say homemade is out of the question. Okay, bakery
No.
is out of
For
the
the purpose
question.
of the discussion, you should pick your favorite chocolate chip cookie because then it's a real.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, what brand makes the best chocolate chip cookie?
No,
that you can
forget
buy
the
from
brand.
supermarket?
Because we can never let that discussion goes into rabbit holes. My question for the chat is, and for you, pick your favorite chocolate chip cookie, whether it's from Subway or whatever, and then pick an Oreo because an Oreo is an Oreo. What do you want at the end of the day? Don't look at the poll. Don't look at the results. I'm not looking at the poll either.
It's very hard because I'm in the mood for different things.
No, but you got to pick. I think I have my answer, and I'm 50-50, but I'm going 51-49.
And then
And
you go down the Pepperidge Farm rabbit hole of Milano and that type of stuff, and it's just like there's so many good variations.
Okay, I'm not looking at the poll yet because I don't want to see the results. Oh my God, this is actually really hard. I want to say one thing, but then I want to say the other. I think I'm going to go with, and I think this will shock people, even though I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. I think it's Oreo. I think it's Oreo, even though I wanted to say chocolate chip and Oreo. It's an Oreo. You can't go wrong with
It's
the
an
sandwich.
Oreo.
It's an Oreo. 76% said chocolate. I see. That's why I'm gonna look at the poll because I was gonna say chocolate chip, but I feel like it's Oreo at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good with the Oreos, but then you start talking about the whole chocolate chip thing, and it's like, man, they make some of these companies make a fire chocolate chip cookie. Like they make such a good chocolate chip cookie.
So you would pick chocolate chip. You would pick chocolate chip.
I love both, and I don't know that I could pick one. Like that Chesapeake brand from Pepperidge Farm is so good.
Okay, so you have to pick one, Steve. You have to make a decision here.
And then tell me you can't eat a box of the little Entenmann's ones by
Oh,
yourself.
100%. I'll eat 5 boxes.
Like,
Dude, I love
like, come on.
So chocolate chip. That's your answer. Chocolate chip. See, I was gonna say chocolate chip too. I agree with you but Oreos are
No,
Oreos.
I mean, there's something about it's too hard to make a decision.
Okay.
Why can't we have both?
We could, but life's not fun when we can't make a decision. We gotta.
I would argue it's more fun because
That's
you
why
have
you
more
own a
variation.
billion stocks because you can't make it.
Yeah, you can't just pick one or two.
Can we end it on this? This is actually this will make you won't answer this, but I think it'll be good for the chat. If you could only invest in one stock for the rest of your life from today's valuations, pick one. Make the ultimate decision. One stock. I'm just gonna say my answer is Palantir. I'm not even
That's
gonna.
some people. I
No,
buy
dude, pick a
VOA.
stock, bro, not the index. Pick a stock.
That
For me,
way
it's
I can have them
Palantir.
all.
I don't have to think twice. It's Palantir. Very simple for me. But what would you pick? I know a lot of people say Tesla, and that's very fair. I can't deny that. I do think Palantir, this valuation is still attractive.
So owning it from here for the next 10 years?
No, for the rest of your life. Forget 10 years.
Oh, for the rest of my life?
Yep. Company could go bankrupt too.
Microsoft.
Microsoft? What?
And I don't even own Microsoft.
What?
Actually, I
Microsoft?
may. Maybe I am. I don't even know if I don't think I own Microsoft. I may.
Okay, so what's the
I have it on
logic
my
with,
website.
with co-pilots and
Because when you say rest of your life, okay,
yeah.
you need something that's not going away and not going to get disrupted. I would think the Windows operating system and Office 365 and Azure is not getting disrupted.
Dude, I feel like that's definitely something that could be up for disruption. 1000%.
Uh-huh.
I
Oh,
know
yeah,
it's
because
remote, but
Google Suite's doing a real good job at disrupting it.
dude, if this AI thing takes over, I don't know if we need a lot of these applications that you think are so sticky with Microsoft. Just saying.
You could be right.
Also, you're buying it at $3 trillion, so for the rest of your life,
I get that.
you're buying Palantir at $100 billion, even Tesla at $800 billion.
Yeah, but you're talking about 40, 50, 60 years. Palantir could be a dead company in 10, 20 years.
No, they could. So there's a risk I'm taking there. But Microsoft could
Exactly.
massively underperform as well.
And I'm not saying that Microsoft won't underperform. I'm just, if I got to pick something for the rest of my life, I got to think Microsoft's still here.
It's surprising you didn't say Amazon over Microsoft.
Yeah,
like
I'm thinking Amazon now that I say it, because Amazon or Microsoft, because Meta could be gone.
Yes, Meta could be gone. I agree. I think Amazon is less likely.
Apple could lose their mode at some point, but
Dude,
nobody's gonna build
out
a
of the
better
Mac
Microsoft.
7, the only two I think that have no chance of being
Amazon
gone.
and Microsoft.
No, Amazon and Tesla.
Mm,
Google could be gone. Meta could be gone. Apple definitely could be gone. Microsoft, I think it's harder to get them gone, but they could be. Tesla, I think they're going to win bots and FSD. And then,
Tesla's probably a good bet for the next couple of decades.
yeah, they have, like, we're talking about exponential growth, bro. Like,
Yeah, I mean, Tesla's probably got the most exponential growth. A lot of things have to go right for that to work, though. I'm just, for stability and just a safe bet, Amazon and Microsoft are probably the two.
Okay, so we with that was our number one. What would be the one stock that you would hold on for the rest of your life as a moonshot bet?
As a
'Cause for me-
moonshot bet, it would
Yeah.
be Tesla.
No. But Tesla's a legit company. I'm
That's
talking
a
about like
moonshot bet.
I get it, but I'm talking about stocks that are relatively like it's 50-50 if they're going to survive, you know? I'm going with Grindr. I'm going long gay dating, and that's a moonshot to me as a $2 billion company. One day maybe it's a $20 billion. That's my 10x. Who knows? That's a moonshot. 2 to 20 billion on Grindr is really tough, but I think you do that. I know Rocket Lab. A lot of people think Rocket Lab, but I think Rocket Lab is becoming more legit. But what's it like?
How about I throw Matt a bone?
You do
Dutch
Rocket Lab?
Bros.
Ah.
For moonshot. So can they really crack Starbucks? Can they really have 10,000 stores? Can they become the next big franchise? Decent possibility on that.
I forgot about this one. I fucking forgot about Archer. Yeah, we talked. We talked about it this morning.
What, Archer Daniel?
No. Archer Aviation, the eVTOL flying jet company, go from LA to San Francisco in 20 minutes. Like that's better than Grindr. That's a better moonshot than Grindr. Like that could be a very big business. It's $1 billion right now in market cap. Joby Aviation, all these guys. Oklo's another one. I know that's getting a lot of headlines. Nuclear energy. That's another moonshot in my opinion. Basically, I'm talking about penny stocks that could explode. That's my question. Essentially is what I'm saying.
Not really my thing.
That is true because your name is Dividend Streams. So we know you like those dividends. Did you notice you don't have a D on your name today? You forgot the D. Okay.
Oh, look at that.
NVIDIA 2.2%, baby. 138 on NVIDIA. All right. That's it. Steve, thanks for joining. Steve's Twitter, I'm putting it in the chat. Please make sure to check him out on Twitter. He doesn't tweet a lot.
Throw the Seeking Alpha in the chat.
Can you tweet more? Can we get you to like put your ideas out there?
No, I freaking don't even like using it.
You have almost 6,000 followers and you don't say anything on Twitter ever. And it would be nice to get your thoughts around the political and economic state of.
You'll never get me talking about it.
Do you remember when you wrote a long ass message on Twitter and you called me and you're like, should I send this? And I was like, just press post. Who was it to? This was in 2022 or 2023. You were really pissed off about something. Dude.
I know what you're talking about, but I legitimately do not know what I was talking about.
I think it was to Elon about. No, it was to Alex Chris. It was PayPal.
Oh yeah. It's either Alex Chris or freaking taxes, one of the two.
You wrote. I remember. I don't know if I'll find it, but you wrote a big ad after that earnings where they tanked to like 49, and you wanted them to buy back $12 billion of stock. And you called me. You're like, should I press send on this? I was like, dude, I don't even think he's gonna see it. If he does see it, then maybe he takes into account. So just send it. So. All right.
Yeah, he should really do more buybacks.
All right. That's it. Steve, thank you for joining. Appreciate it. I'll see you next week.
All right. Later.
All right, folks. That's it for me. We'll be back with Palantir Weekly tonight. Matt, me, Amir, Arnie, all these guys. And we'll be discussing Palantir Q3 2024 earnings preview. It'll be a big one. We got a bunch of charts to go through, stuff to look at. NVIDIA right here, 2.4%. Pretty damn incredible, dude. Replacing Intel and the Dow Jones. I feel like this should have happened a while ago, but it makes sense that it's happening right now. And yeah, shout out to NVIDIA. Almost up 3% on this news. And we will tonight discuss Palantir. And then Monday, we've got a big Super Bowl with Palantir earnings. And then we got the election. So it's going to be a pretty crazy week next week. I have no idea how to even think of what's going to happen next week, but we'll be around and we'll be covering it and we'll see what happens. All right. That's it. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you guys. Hopefully you have a good weekend. Thank you for being here every single day this week. And next week's a big one. I'll be back tonight and then we'll be back Monday morning. All right. Bye, everyone. Have a good one. Good night.